Delphi, Indiana. Population 3,000, nestled among a network of parks and wilderness trails, is like many Midwestern towns, quiet and peaceful. But 5 years ago, that peace was shattered.
White power Odinists, ritualistic killings, and the possibility that other people might have been involved in the murders.
This is important because Richard Allen doesn't have any ties to Odinism.
And not one witness can positively identify Richard Allen as being at the scene of the crime at the time the girls were killed.
Well, it's right behind me, like you mentioned, is all wooded, and it's a 40-acre private lot where these two girls' bodies were found. That 40-acre private lot is owned by a local man named Logan. We were able to go down onto his property yesterday and get a closer look for the very first time at the scene where those two girls' bodies were found. Since yesterday, they did lift all of the crime tape in this area away, so it's not the center of this investigation at this point, but still they have been coming back and taking evidence away.
So as we know, investigators have kept information about how the girls were found, and specifically the crime scene itself, very close to the vest until earlier this year, when a federal search warrant for the property the girls were found on from March 2017 was leaked to the public.
And that it was common for perpetrators to memorialize the crime scene with pictures.
And so that if people ask, all of the family members in the Delphi case been cleared?
Again, that gets into the investigative strategy of Delphi, and I'm not going to go there.
Well, you're saying in this situation, I just want to, we want to be apples and apples.
We've received 46,000 tips, Sandra. Comparing apples to apples is appropriate, and I'll accept that, but apples to oranges I won't, and what you're asking me is to do that. I'm not going to. They're very, very different. From the very beginning, they're very, very, very different. And, they're all, I think, we're up to around 42 or 43,000 tips.
And I get that. I'm not talking about tips. I'm just saying, have the family members in the Delphi case been cleared?
The vast majority of them have, yes.
And I get that. I'm not talking about tips.
The vast majority of them have, yes.
Sheriff Tobe Lesenby says detectives from the FBI, state police, and Carroll County are still working the case. He says investigators hear 50 to 100 tips every day.
If the person who did this is watching, what would your message to them be?
We're still going to find you.
Absolutely, and I can tell you, First Sergeant Jerry Holman has kind of led this investigation that has so many incredible people involved, but I can assure you that there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't do something with this case.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Phone calls, emails, reviewing evidence. He is still, almost 3 years later, actively involved in this investigation.
To experience something of this magnitude, and this is one of those cases that very few agencies in the country could handle. So we've had there's lots of partners.
Right.
Carroll County.
Well, we're actually not even the lead agency.
That's correct.
On paper.
That's right. That's right.
Although we've kind of assumed the perception of that. The Carroll County Sheriff's Department is heading this up, and we're getting assistance from FBI and all the federal agencies.
Right. We've had hundreds of people from the ISP involved in this, and we will continue to as long as I'm here.
And
The initial word that popped into my mind was pride. I have a lot of pride for not only our folks, but every individual that's committed to this investigation.
We have a wonderful group of people that work at the Sheriff's Department, in the jail, in the dispatch. Those people want the accountability. Those people came to me that want body cams. Those same people have high expectations, and they rise to the occasion every single time. And if they don't, we have a conversation. I'm the guy that reviews every report that comes to the Sheriff's Department and basically approves it. Is there more follow-up that's needed? What else needs to be done? I'm that guy that does it, and I'm the first one to kick it back and say, no, you need to do more, you need to do this. And they take what I say and they go do it. I hold them accountable as it is. That's what they want already.
Yeah, you're right. I'm a chief deputy. I tried to write up somebody once and I got thrown under the bus for it. So I haven't done it since. So that's part of it. That's 7.5 years of just having to stay where I'm at, put in my place. And as far as, there's a difference between having to write somebody up and just telling them to get a report fixed.
Did Brad Holder say he was some sort of a pagan priest?
Yeah, Gothi. It's creepy as hell that drawing was there. And if it's anything close to what the defense is saying that is some creepy shit.
Right.
And it definitely should be looked into. There ain't no joke about it, because if that man had something to do with this, I mean, how in the hell are you going to shake this off of you? Especially, I mean, like you said, dude, you look at me on paper, bro.
It looks bad.
I'm a serious dude. It ain't no joke. I'm a monster on paper, and there's times in my life I've been a monster in real person, but, you know, because they took boogeymen like me and sent them to other people's doors. It's just going to be problem after problem for the rest of my life, and at this point, I'm just going to have to do the best I can to dodge it. Sleight of hand, bud. David Copperfield made a lot of money with it. David Blaine made a lot of money with it. Sleight of hand.
You know, first off, Josh did allude to the fact that we're very forward, I think, in the country in our capabilities for these types of cases. We investigate those with a real sense of urgency. You know, we give a lot of dedication and time, and we never give up on all the cases that we have. But certainly when it comes to children, the most vulnerable segment of our society, that has to be investigated with a real sense of urgency.
I do believe that I'll see it. I believe that I'll see it. Mike, Patty, and Becky, and Anna, and I mean, today could be the day.
Those words, "today could be the day," are what the families of both Abby and Libby have told themselves for 5 years now, despite how much time has passed.
But I still have great confidence, Emily, that we're going to be successful. And that's not just because I'm an optimistic guy. Eventually I'll be able to tell the world what we know. And the rest of the group will be able to tell the world what we know. Unfortunately, I can't right now.
We're slowly getting there. We are really hoping that next year we'll be playing ball, having concerts. Oh yes, one of the playgrounds was also placed.
Wow.
And it's really neat. It's a small playground, and Diane, which is Anna's mom, she come up with this idea. We got a grant, and we had this money that we had to spend. So she started looking, and one of the things that we were able to get through this grant was, yes, we have the playground there for little kids, but we also got outdoor workout equipment for adults.
Becky and Mike Patty are Libby German's grandparents. They say the idea of this park started out with a plan to just buy bleachers for the girls' softball field.
This has grown to a much larger project than what we originally kind of envisioned.
But with the help of everyone from state leaders to practically every single person in Delphi, it's become so much more. A park, softball fields, an amphitheater, a place for the community to come together.
There's another rumor, I guess, it's kind of a rumor. People think we're taking the money that people are donating and using it for ourselves. There's another rumor, I guess, it's kind of a rumor. People think we're taking the money that people are donating and using it for ourselves.
A lot of what we do, a lot of our vacations is based around on honoring Libby.
In the hours following the girl's disappearance, agents from the FBI and the ICAC task force began extracting and examining digital forensics from the girl's social media and electronic devices. Agents identified an Anthony Shots profile on Liberty's friends list as a likely fraudulent or phishing profile. While the account had attempted to contact Liberty on at least one occasion, it was quickly determined that Liberty had not shared personal information or communicated regularly with the profile. Agents found no evidence of a prearranged meeting and nothing to suggest that either girl had been lured to the trail that day. While investigators quickly ruled out the possibility of an internet crime in the Delphi case, digital forensics from Liberty's social media accounts led them to the fraudulent social media profile. And so, a secondary investigation into the Anthony Schatz profile began.
In this 2018 appeal, Kreider states that ICAC was instrumental in working on some of the evidence in the Delphi murders case. Why would ICAC agents be helping with evidence in the Delphi murders case if it was not an internet-based crime?
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of the Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email.
Indiana State Police have been looking for the person who created the fake social media account, Anthony Schatz. The person tied to that account is in custody in a child pornography case ISP was already investigating. Heavily redacted court documents show no mention of the Delphi murders or any information linking the suspect to the case.
As we've been telling you, police asked for help identifying a man who created the Anthony Schatz social media account. Today, we've learned that the investigation into that profile is a, quote, secondary investigation that came out of the search for Abby and Libby's killer.
Troopers are asking you to call this tip line, all the information you see it on your screen. This is different from the line they've been sharing since the beginning.
I was hoping to get more details on that, but this is all the superintendent would say.
It generated a tremendous amount of interest, and the leads that we've received have been very helpful.
State Police also acknowledged today that a secondary investigation from information received during the Delphi investigation led them to Klein. There's still a lot we here at 13 News don't know about this investigation, and we need to be clear, police have never said Klein is a person of interest in the Delphi murders investigation.
We gleaned a tremendous amount of very positive information, and we're continuing to run those tips down.
Police identified the man behind that online account as Keegan Klein, but now, months later, they haven't named him as a suspect or a person of interest in the Delphi murders. Now, we do know police searched his home 11 days after the two girls were found dead, and he was later charged with 30 felony counts, including child pornography possession and child exploitation. All of those charges unrelated to the Delphi.
Anthony Schatz. Ever heard of him?
I wish. New information to us as of last night, before everybody else, but still new information. I'm kind of torn. I would never want to think that social media was a connection in this, but also I do hope that there's a connection now. Obviously, we want justice. We want this to be over, and if that's the connection that has to be made to get justice.
Later that week, on December 9th, HLN's Barbara McDonald did a jailhouse interview with Keegan Klein, and parts of this interview aired in the February 2022 5-year special.
So why do you think investigators are putting so much focus on you right now?
I have not a clue. I think it's because they said I was the last person to talk to her, is what they've told me.
And then she shows up at the bridge and they're abducted and later found dead.
Right.
Keegan Klein, he was brought up several times in our reporting tonight. He has not been named as a suspect. Has he been questioned in relation to this case, and why release that fake social media account? What was the purpose of that?
Yeah, again, a very dynamic situation and very strategic decision to do that. And what I can say about Keegan Klein is when that was released not long ago, significant tips have come in that have been very meaningful to us. So we're just beginning with the Anthony Schatz profile and what that might mean to the Delphi homicides.
Do you think it's possible that your sister and Abby were communicating with this account?
I think that the account is definitely important and that we have to keep sharing it and putting it out there because for whatever reason, law enforcement thinks it's important. They could be covering something up.
I've had those conversations with people before, and I'll keep those are private conversations. I promise you on lives of two people that are most important to me in my lifetime, and that is my daughter and my wife. That's not happening. While I'm here, there will be nothing of the like. Mm-hmm. And that's just a rumor, and that, today in today's world, again, it's easy to say something like that, but take a step back and think about what it would mean for that to actually occur. Mm-hmm. And it's just not.
Yeah, and I think the reason people think it is because there's a couple cases specifically that I'm working on that I post a lot about, but there is a lot of police corruption. And I think there are in other places, but I definitely don't think there is any here. Or at least in our case, maybe there are in other places.
A probable cause affidavit explains why someone is charged with a crime, and the law says that document must be publicly filed once the charge takes place. But in this case, that is not happening.
The probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court.
The prosecutor says he asked a judge to keep the document under seal because the investigation is ongoing and investigators want more tips from the public.
It is surprising.
Novella Needeth spent 2 decades as a public defender and now teaches law at Indiana University. She says she's never heard of a prosecutor keeping a probable cause affidavit secret in such a high-profile case. She says releasing the information helps ensure due process for the defendant and allows the public to ask important questions. In this case, both of those things are in jeopardy because the case is essentially being kept secret.
So as we know, the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen was being withheld by the prosecution as it was under seal until yesterday when a special judge, Fran Gull, ruled on the release of the document with redactions. The PCA is an 8-page document, and we received 7 of those pages with all witnesses redacted. I have quite a few issues with this document, not only in the way that it is written, but the nature of the evidence that was used to put Allen behind bars. I find it to be subjective, and in the words of Allen's attorneys, flimsy, boring, and disappointing. They certainly were not bluffing when they made those remarks. I was hoping this affidavit would include some objectivity and factual evidence, but all we really got were inconsistent witness statements from a group of juveniles and other redacted witnesses, and subjective opinions of investigators that were frankly unsubstantiated by facts. The bullet evidence is shaky and subjective as conceded in the document, and it's frankly written in a very word salady manner. I think this information could have been presented in a much more concise and professional manner.
I don't understand, maybe they did this, maybe they didn't, as to why they didn't run all of the surrounding gun stores of 40 caliber type weapons, because I have solved a number of murders that way, because typically people who commit crimes like this have purchased a weapon legally, and they have purchased it someplace close to their residence.
I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit nervous. This is live. As I stand here before you, I just cannot help that we're all bad. It's my job to take care of you. But since I did not, what do I do as a leader of this agency? In the meantime, I was getting advice from many, many people. And I realized I just did not know what to do. How do you deal with conflict with a person that doesn't look like you? Are we going to let that happen? Our words matter. Our words matter. I do not and will not apologize. I really wish over time I would have cataloged and documented, but since I did not, all of these examples should have been a clear sign to me. But I missed it. I will not stand here and offer excuses. You deserve better than that. But I will stand here wishing I had a redo and to acknowledge to each of you that I am sorry I missed those many opportunities. Unfortunately, many of them were not surprised by the way in which they were treated. It helped me begin to understand that I don't understand. I will never forget one person saying to me, "Superintendent, when was the last time you were ever in a room and no one looked like you?" Never. But our black, brown, and female troopers was disgusting. We have to address these issues head on, and that's exactly what we'll do. We are all bad people. I also learned that day that I do see color. From a comment that was made to me in the back of this very room. I do see color, especially those that don't look like me. I've asked people all over this great state, what do I do for any action to occur? And say, here's what happened. I've heard from many of you, kind of weird for us because it's outside of a formal structure. But let's try this. Let's be a little bit different. The answer is no. In the meantime, maybe a month and a half. I've got some work to do out there and I'm looking forward to that period of time. And in the grand scheme of things, I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing all in all. Because we should take some responsibility for the way in which the world is today. We cannot miss this opportunity. Because if we do, history will not be good to us. The time is now to hold each other accountable. We are all bad people. And to not let lone, irresponsible, callous, and illegal action of some divide us or define us that we're all bad. I stand here alone that I will regret because of the many misses that I had. I do not and will not apologize.
So you guys did have DNA in this case, or otherwise you wouldn't be asking for fucking mine. I said that also begs the question, the hell you do with Richard Allen in jail? If you're still looking for other people's DNA, that must mean you had DNA in the case and his didn't match. I'm still going to be known as the pagan cult leader killer of Delphi. I don't know. Yeah, the FBI, like I said, they came to my house. They sat down with me at the table. Cut the bullshit and get down to it, you know? And they were like, fair enough, fair enough. So I was trying to tell these cops, that's no bullshit. I'm not going to remember what I was doing. But the FBI has a folder from an interview they sat down at my table in my living room and did with me. If you guys want to refresh your brain caps, go get that piece of paper out and read it. It's going to give you a better explanation of what I was doing then than I ever could now.
I'm getting pissed off, frankly, for all the reasons we've already talked about. And my soul's getting eaten from the inside out. If I saw the person that did this to them, I don't think I'd be angry, but I would just simply want to know why. This one's different because I can't explain why. And like we said when this all started, I owe that explanation to Mike Patty and his family and to many other members of the family. And I'm sorry you're a member of that club. I really, truly am sorry. I wish there could have been something that we could have done prior to that that would have prohibited this from happening, but I guess that wasn't in the cards.
Evans will officially step down as mayor August 16th. He'll continue serving the community as the chief deputy prosecutor under Carroll County prosecutor Nicholas McLeland.
In high school, I actually got to intern at the prosecutor's office thinking I would become an attorney. And then I had the opportunity to work for Prosecutor McLeland when he was in private practice when I was straight out of law school.
It was a chance Evans says he couldn't pass up, and stepping down as mayor was a bittersweet decision.
I am torn because I sincerely love being the mayor of the city of Delphi. The people are fantastic.
The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply.
Today, Sergeant Holman tells me they recovered even more audio from Libby's phone, which was found with the girls at the crime scene.
We've only released a portion of it. There's some others that we think could help us, but again, protecting the integrity of the investigation is the key here. So we can't release everything we have because there's only certain people that know the details.
Indiana State Police announces promotion of First Sergeant Jerry Holman to Lieutenant. Okay, that's unexpected based on what we saw, but apparently that is what's going on here. So, Lafayette, Indiana State Police Superintendent Douglas G. Carter recently announced the promotion of First Sergeant Jerry Holman to the rank of Lieutenant. Lieutenant Holman will assume the crucial position of Area 1 Investigative Commander. Oh no.
Richard Allen's attorneys filed this earlier today. It's a motion to begin his trial early, and it kicks in a brand new clock that starts ticking immediately. Richard Allen has been in prison for more than 16 months, charged with the murders of Delphi teenagers Abby Williams and Libby German. His attorneys believe Allen is innocent, so they want his trial to begin as soon as possible. That's why they filed this motion that requires the judge to set a speedy trial date. Once this motion is filed, state rules say a trial must be commenced no later than 70 calendar days from the date of the motion.
Take a look at what his attorneys are saying now. Throughout our legal consultation, Mr. Allen remained uncomfortably and unnecessarily shackled and chained in a manner resembling Hannibal Lecter, while guards watched through glass panels and the door ajar. Mr. Allen clearly appeared intimidated by the guards and was hesitant to speak freely with counsel.